Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Metropolis Radio. Today we are talking about Spawn. I know, kind of a weird topic to talk about, given that I've never talked about Spawn on this channel before. But we have this story that came out late September, and that is the Spawn Reboot Movie should avoid origin story, says creator. Spawn creator Todd McFarlane rules out telling an origin story for the upcoming reboot, as he wants the film to cover new ground for audiences. Spawn creator Todd McFarlane does not want to do an origin film in the upcoming reboot. Created in 1992, Spawn was one of the many premiere titles for the newly formed Image Comics, a comics publisher created by several high-profile illustrators at the time, which would allow creators to have control over their comic characters instead of the publisher. Spawn was a massive hit when it premiered, with issue 1 selling 1.7 million copies. Spawn launched a multimedia empire for McFarlane, who used the popularity of the Spawn comics to create McFarlane Toys in 1994. The comics' popularity led to the animated series on HBO titled Todd McFarlane's Spawn, which ran for 3 seasons from 1997 to 1999. Spawn also got a feature film in 1997 with Michael J. White in the lead role. However, the film was a critical and box office disappointment, and since the 90s, the character's popularity has decreased. Despite many attempts to get a Spawn movie off the ground, the latest cinematic appearance of the character was a cameo in 2018's Ready Player One. I've never seen Ready Player One, so I'm just going to take this writer's word for it. In an interview with CBR, McFarlane explains what has been holding up the planned reboot of the film. He does not want to redo the origin of the film, seeing that as material they covered in the 1997 Spawn film. McFarlane wants the Spawn reboot movie to be different and relevant for today's audiences, and here is what Todd McFarlane said, quote, I didn't want to do the comic book origin story from issues number 1 through 3 in the movie. We were looking for people, without even telling them that, to give something a little bit different. Unfortunately, 80 to 90% of them, according to the other person involved who was interviewing most of them, were falling into the trap of retelling the comic book story in the movie. We saw that movie. That movie came out 20 plus years ago from New Line. So what haven't we seen that would be interesting and relevant today, both in terms of filmmaking and social content? End quote. McFarlane has been working on a new Spawn movie since at least 2009. The film started to take shape in 2015 and in 2017, teamed up with horror producer Jason Blum in Blumhouse Productions. With the plan for McFarlane to direct the film, Jamie Foxx has been linked to the title role of Spawn since 2018, and the latest news in August 2021 had Broken City screenwriter Brian Tucker brought on board to rewrite McFarlane's script. The film has been in development for years, and Jason Blum has said the reboot is taking longer than he would like. McFarlane has said he wants to take his time to get the film right. While Spawn might have been the if I can talk today, while Spawn might have been most popular in the 90s, the character has been going through a resurgence in recent years. The character was a downloadable fighter for Mortal Kombat 11, and the character's latest comic, King Spawn #1, broke records with nearly 500,000 pre-orders. 2022 will mark 30 years from Spawn's comic debut, and with the wave of nostalgia for 90s properties, the time might just be right for a Spawn reboot. And I do agree with that. The time for a Spawn reboot is now. I feel if Todd McFarlane waits another 4 or 5 years, the time to make and release this movie is gonna come and go. But how do I feel about, the fact that the movie should avoid the origin story? Personally, I fucking love the idea. The problem with a lot of superhero movies, especially after Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, which is the most overrated superhero movie trilogy in my opinion, is that, you have to have a Batman Begins. You have to absolutely tell the origin story. You cannot just be thrown right into the action. Gone are the days of Tim Burton's Batman where there was no origin story. It's just Batman appeared on screen. It was, Tim Burton took Batman more to his pulp roots by just saying, you know what, we're not going to tell the origin story. And that's where superheroes started. Not every superhero needed an origin story. They could just exist. And you can make the reference to the fact that Spawn is one of I don't even remember what it is. I think he's like one of like Satan's helpers or something like that, going and retrieving lost souls. You know, they could like casually bring that up for people who don't know Spawn. But yeah, do I think it would work? Only time will tell, because it's not like Spawn is like the easiest character to get into. You know, how much knowledge do I need to have going into the reboot movie? And guys, that's pretty much all I got for you. If you stuck around this long, thanks so much for doing so. And if you've been following me long enough, you know I'm terrible at ending these videos. So I will just see you guys next time.